It's Friday, August 23. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. The government has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, to extend domestic monitoring of Jamaica's economic reform program beyond the end of the precautionary standby arrangement with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. The MOU was signed Thursday by Minister of Finance and Public Service Dr. Nigel Clark, Chairman of EPOC, Keith Duncan, Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, Richard Biles, and other representatives of the committee at the ministry at National Heroes Circle.
Today, the Government of Jamaica, through the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, will be signing an MOU with the Economic Program Oversight Committee that extends the domestic monitoring arrangement with EPOC beyond the end of the precautionary standby arrangement with the IMF.
Dr. Clark said the government is far advanced in enacting legislation to modernize the Bank of Jamaica, inclusive of institutionalizing independence in the implementation of monetary policy.
We are also working towards legislation that will give rise to a fiscal council that will strengthen Jamaica's fiscal responsibility framework and be an independent arbiter of Jamaica's fiscal rules. Today, we are empowering EPOC to continue in its monitoring role until those policy commitments are operationalized.
Dr. Clark also spoke to the country's arrangement with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF.
In November, Jamaica expects to successfully complete the precautionary standby arrangement with the IMF. And this follows on the successful early termination of the extended fund facility of the IMF in November of 2016. Together, this represents approximately 6.5 years of successful program implementation in the context of successive IMF programs. Over this period, Jamaica's debt has been reduced significantly, macroeconomic stability has become entrenched, economic growth has returned, and there's been a substantial growth in employment.
The minister further noted that the MOU's extension follows the government's agreement with the IMF to keep its office in Jamaica open for 2 years following the end of the program. The government has incorporated green building practices towards water security into its new housing policy. According to Minister with responsibility for housing in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Pernell Charles Jr., the new housing policy mandates that developers incorporate green building techniques into their development plans. The minister noted, quote, "By incorporating green building technologies, we are ensuring that our buildings are more efficient and environmentally friendly," end quote. He added that the new housing policy includes provisions that focus on the inclusion of rainwater harvesting infrastructure and water storage facilities for all housing developments. The National Housing Policy was tabled in Parliament on July 23, 2019. It provides a raft of new and sustainable measures on home construction and the housing sector as a whole. Parents and guardians of children who are deaf and hard of hearing are being encouraged to enroll them into one of the Jamaica Association for the Deaf's 7 schools. Executive Director of JAD, Kimberly Sherlock Marriott Blake, says that education is the core focus of the institution. Mrs. Sherlock Marriott Blake, who was addressing the JIS think tank on Wednesday, pointed out that based on estimates, the JAD should have at least 1,000 students enrolled in its schools. She says the formal education system is not designed to assist such students.
And the way our education system is structured, you on average have a classroom size at the primary level with 44 students. Now, if you're a student who has hearing loss and uses a hearing aid, and you're in a classroom where there are 44 students one teacher and a blackboard dividing the room, 9 out of 10 you're not catching much in the classroom. And so the impact that has on the students is that it means that for a number of years, they are performing either at bare minimum or below bare minimum. And unfortunately, they may be just passed through the system.
She informed that the JAD is working to sensitize persons at the community level on the importance of having a deaf or hard of hearing child learning in an environment which is tailored to their specific needs. The schools provide lessons from the National Standards Curriculum alongside the Jamaica Sign Language Grammar Program.
Whatever the hearing loss, the child can be supported. The child can be given the education that they deserve, because we are firm believers that every child can learn and every child must learn. We are grant aided by the Ministry of Education to manage our schools, which means that our school fees and the costs aligned to sending a child to a school for the deaf is not significantly exorbitant. Most people, when they think of special education placement, they think of a private institution, and so the assumption is that it's going to be extremely expensive. The support that we provide as a school and as an organization is that outside of what the child is being provided with in the classroom, there is the support for parents, there is support for siblings. At our preschool level, if the child has a sibling already that's close in age, we will accept the sibling as well into the school so that both have a signing skill, which means that at home there is that support and camaraderie that they can continue to build. We support our parents in learning sign language. We support them in helping them to understand what does it mean that, my child is deaf, so now what? What kind of concerns do I need to look out for? What kind of challenges do I need to think about?
The executive director also appealed to parents and guardians to have their children assessed if they are not responding the way they should. With just a week remaining before the start of the new school term in September, the Ministry of Education says it's moving with alacrity to alleviate the current water shortage being faced by a number of schools island-wide. The parishes of St. Mary, Portland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Thomas, and Kingston and St. Andrew have been experiencing drought conditions for some months. In order to determine the severity of the problem and the number of schools that are in need of immediate attention, Minister with responsibility for education, Carl Samuda, said a survey has been launched. Plans are being put in place to conduct a thorough survey of affected schools with a view of having the installation of water tanks and the necessary piping started immediately. In addition, discussions will be held with the National Water Commission to secure regular supplies of water to serve all affected schools. That survey is expected to be completed within a month so that plans can be put in place to effect change immediately. Students from 5 schools across the corporate area will graduate from the Supreme Ventures Foundation's Junior Creators Robotics Camp today at the Arden High School. The primary level students spent the week learning how to make robots.
It's funded by the Supreme Ventures Foundation. The aim of the foundation is to make a positive impact on children in and around the communities that we serve. So what we wanted to do was give the children who we reached out to a first-hand experience at robotics, engineering, technology. So what they get to do is they get to build actual robots from scratch. They get to incorporate physics, they get to incorporate math, everything that they're learning in school really, but on a more fun role. So they get to, if you look around, you'll see them building robots, making them move, making them dance, making them jump. Things that they probably wouldn't have gotten a chance to do in school, but they probably see it on TV and want to give it a try.
The Road Safety Unit in the Ministry of Transport is reporting a 19% increase in road fatalities this year when compared to last year. In its latest crash report, the Road Safety Unit says 278 persons have lost their lives in 253 fatal crashes on the roads so far this year. Pedestrians account for 25% of the road users killed since the start of the year, while private sector motor vehicle drivers account for 15% of the road users killed. Motorists account for 30% of the road users killed since the start of the year. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson has given instructions about a probe into the decision by the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch not to prosecute a man who identified himself as the motorist on a video performing stunts on a busy corporate road. This development follows the firestorm in the public domain over the treatment of the person who identified himself as the driver of the car used in the stunt in traffic. He apologized publicly and was not prosecuted, but hours later, another video surfaced appearing to show someone else driving the car while the stunts were being performed. This second video has generated even more debate, and Commissioner Anderson has acknowledged the situation. An estimated 92% of cancers caused by HPV could be prevented through vaccination. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention made this statement on Thursday, adding that boosting immunization coverage was a key priority. Human papillomavirus was responsible for an estimated yearly average of 34,800 cancer cases between 2012 and 2016. That's according to a new study published by the CDC, meaning that more than 32,100 cases could have been avoided annually. The virus can lead to cancers in both men and women. The CDC recommends that all preteens get the HPV vaccine when they are 11 or 12 years old to protect them before they are ever exposed. And game bird hunters have been given the green light to shoot the white-tailed deer, an alien invasive species of major concern in Jamaica, anytime throughout the year. The OK has come from National Environment and Planning Agency CEO Peter Knight, who told the press that there is no restriction on them. There is no deer shooting season. His comments come as the 2019 game bird season begins. It runs between August 17 to September 22. The US dollar on Thursday, August 22, ended trading at Jamaican $136.71, up by 73 cents. According to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary, the Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $103.84, up from $102.98, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $166.75, up from $165.13. This week in Culinary Trails, we start a coffee journey at Rituals Coffee House. This week on Culinary Trails, we're slowing down to smell the coffee. Grab a sandwich and have a chat with Donna Smith, Operations Manager of Rituals Coffee House, right here in Village Plaza, Halfway Tree.
Hi, Simone.
Hi.
Welcome to Rituals Coffee House.
Thanks so very much for inviting me. Looking forward to speaking with you. Let's have a seat.
Sure.
So we can get to know each other better and know more about Rituals Coffee House.
No problem.
For those of us who aren't here, what's the experience we can expect when we come to Rituals?
When you walk into Ritual, you can expect fabulous ambiance. It's not too bright. It's just nicely decorated with free Wi-Fi, excellent customer service, fabulous food. I mean, we can brag our 5 different flavored chai. We can brag their hot and cold coffee beverages. We're as wide as pastas, paninis, salads, wraps, pastries, an assortment of that too. So I mean, you get just about everything here. When you go to a coffee house, you're not looking for just a brewed coffee. So I mean, even our chillers, which is pretty much like a milkshake, we have coffee-filled chillers. And for the kids, we have coffee-free chillers. So I mean, everything is right here for you. You walk in and you're taken care of, you're comfortable, you relax. You can actually sit and just get a moment to unwind.
Right, just like a Ritual. In terms of your time and schedule, when are you open and at what time?
Okay, from Monday to Thursday, we're here from 7:30 to 7. On Friday, we're here from 7:30, but we'll go a little later. We'll go until 7:30 in the night. On a Saturday, we open from 9 o'clock and we go all the way to 8. And on Sundays, we're here from 9:30 to 4.
Wow, so you're open
Every
7 days a
day,
week?
7 days a week. On a week, on a public holiday, we're closed.
All right. So in terms of the coffee that you serve, do you serve strictly Jamaican coffee, or can we expect international range and flavor?
We serve Jamaican coffee. Our chillers are imported, however, because we do not have those here. But they're fabulous, and I mean, what is great about it is that you can get stuff for kids. Understand, like bubblegum, cotton candy flavor. So it looks like a milkshake. We usually finish with whipped cream on top and drizzle with either the option of caramel or chocolate topping.
Wow, that sounds so yummy. So you've agreed to do a little demonstration for us.
Sure.
What will you be serving us today?
We could do you a wrap. Would you like to try a wrap? We could do a panini or a flatini. You tell me what you like.
And in terms of coffee, what are you going to be showing me today?
I think a mochaccino, because that's what I like. We could give you a mochaccino. Would you like to try that?
Yes, I would. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Right now, we're going to make a chiller, which is Kona mocha milkshake, base of milk, 20% coffee, and it's a powdery mix. So, it's in your blender. Add your milk, which is 5 ounces. 2 scoops of the Kona mocha, which is the mix. Then you add a cup of ice. Then you're going to cover. And then you're going to blend.
coffee is really a ritual. They can have it hot or iced coffee just to put a pep in the step or just to refresh their mind and body. You can do any one of these at the Ritual Coffee House. You can come on down, get something to eat by yourself or with your friends. In regional news, the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, has failed to arrive at a date for general elections. GECOM commissioners met on Wednesday to deliberate the way forward. 8 months after the David Granger-led coalition government lost a no-confidence motion, one ruled valid by the Caribbean Court of Justice 2 months ago, no date has been set for the polls. The bone of contention is the voters list. Government-appointed commissioner says house-to-house verification is necessary to validate the list, but the opposition-appointed commissioners say otherwise. After Wednesday's meetings, the commissioners gave a few details.
Did any three of your commissioners say whether different scenarios for elections were presented outside of house-to-house registration by the chief elections officer?
I will say to you that we have, in fact, referred the CEO for further clarification on scenarios.
But those were presented?
There was some presentations.
We're just meeting on Friday at 1. We have nothing else that we can say to you right now. That's it.
What are the prospects of...
I said we're meeting again on Friday at 1.
To discuss what? What was discussed today?
Friday at 1
Please, sir. I've said what I can say to you. We're meeting on Friday at 1. No decisions were made. I can't tell you anything else.
One may concur that we prefer, in the interest of taking the process forward, preferably not to make public disclosures.
In the meantime, opposition leader Brat Jagdeo says general elections could be held in October. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday, he said this could be achieved by abandoning the house-to-house re-verification process. Mr. Jagdeo claims that opposition GECOM commissioners have laid out a timeline to achieve polls in October, and he accused government-appointed commissioners of delaying the process.
They not just abdicated their responsibility, I believe committed a criminal act by not preparing for elections since December 21st last year. And even at this stage, they're persisting in going down a route that would delay the elections further, even at this stage. So we're anxiously awaiting GECOM, and they must understand too, the commission, that this country is on hold, basically. 800,000 people are waiting, and every day that passes by, for them it might be another day for 7 persons. But it's another stressful day for 800,000 people who don't know where we're going, one way or another. And therefore, the decision has to be made urgently.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley will sign a memorandum of understanding with Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley for a joint energy corporation. Energy Minister Franklin Khan made the announcement at Thursday's post-cabinet news conference. Khan explained that recently BHP Billiton has made some gas discoveries in the northeastern part of Trinidad and Tobago's maritime acreage.
BHP has been making gas discoveries in the northeastern part of Trinidad and Tobago maritime asset. They have drilled a number of successful wells, and some of them are quite close to the Barbadian border. Because of that, both the government of Barbados and the government of Trinidad and Tobago saw it fit to do a memorandum of understanding for joint cooperation in the event that gas reserves are found on the Barbadian side. And that will lead to possibly the signing of a unitization treaty between Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados in the not-too-distant future.
Still in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has chastised some public officers for their conduct. He also lamented low standards among the public service. The Prime Minister was addressing police officers on Wednesday at a handover ceremony where motorbikes had been donated by the Chinese government. Here are the details.
I distinctly recall when I joined the public service, at a time, a long, long time ago, when the public service was really the public service. every officer like myself, having been attached to the public service, you were given a diary. And in that diary, every day, you had to record your movement and your actions. And at the end of the month, that diary was taken by the manager of your department, perused, and that is when it was determined what you had done, what was owing to you for traveling, and of course, you had to account for absences if there were any.
He said that with that system, someone was in charge and there was a written record of the performance in the public service.
Some people sometimes believe that those systems were too tedious and too old-timeish, and they have been removed and they have been replaced with nothing. And in that free-for-all, the quality of the service has deteriorated no end.
In sports, Team Jamaica is now fully settled in Lima, Peru for the 29 Pan American Games and had their first meeting of all delegation members on Tuesday in the Athletes' Village. Team Jamaica, based on the quota system of the Games, was only allowed 7 athletes in track and field, and this restrictive quota continues to be a concern to participating countries. Jamaica will also be represented for the first time in the history of the Games in Taekwondo and Judo. And in football, Waterhouse FC and CS Herediano of Costa Rica played to a 1-1 draw in their first leg of the CONCACAF League match at the National Stadium Thursday evening. It was the home team, Waterhouse, who gained the early ascendancy. 7 minutes after the substitution, the visitors would get back on level terms as an error by goalkeeper Akeem Chambers allowed defender Kenar Brown to find the back of the net. And in cricket, veteran seamer Kemar Roach inspired an incisive Windies display to leave India rattled and searching for stability on a rain-hit opening day of the first test in Antigua Thursday. Opting to bowl first, the Windies grabbed early wickets through Roach to reduce the visitors to 25 for 3 before Ajinkya Rahane top scored with 81 and opener KL Rahul chipped in with 44 to help lift their side to 203 for 6 at the close. Hanuma Vahari scored 32 and wicket-keeper Rashib Pant was unbeaten on 20 when rain at 3:30 p.m. forced a premature end to play with 24 overs still remaining. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.